So I've known BJ for most of the time I've worked at ASN, which has been about 3.5 years. He's a member of the team we have up at the Banquet plant, and I've sort of over time moved into the role of being a liaison for that team. So I see him whenever I go up there, which is sometimes just once or twice a week. So BJ's fantastic. BJ's been with our team for 25 years, and everybody loves him. He had his 70th birthday last fall, and he's still one of our hardest working team members. You cannot get him to stay home. He's had injuries and illnesses, and we try to get him to take some time off, and he's like, no, I'm gonna work. So I think the only thing that I remember that he's voluntarily taken time off for was to help with some puppies that were being delivered. I mean, BJ's just a role model for all of us, I think. He's just such a hard worker and so dedicated to his job that, if you're thinking about slacking off, you're like, no, I gotta be like BJ. It's just fun to be around. He'll, tell you all about the Razorbacks. He loves the Razorbacks. He's legendary Razorback fan. And, he'll tell you he's gonna work until he dies, and he wants to be there. He's just so motivated to work, and it's just, I think, raises everybody's morale. The most fun was last fall. Beckert had a big party for his birthday, and they were also celebrating his 25-year anniversary. And I mean, it was a blast, and he loved it. And the way he responded to that was just so. It was full of joy and appreciation, but also just kind of humble, and not like, expectant, I guess. It was one of those things that, again, I look at and I'm like, I want to be like that. I want to be that open to letting people love me, and able to receive that in such a joyful and open way without it, becoming like an ego thing. We're just really glad BJ's been with us this long, and we hope he can stay as long as he wants to.
My relationship with Charles. I've known Charles since probably the 90s. When I moved up here, I used to go play basketball at the park as a kid, and me and Charles' youngest brother graduated together. So I used to see Charles and all his brothers out at the park all the time. And then one day he was just talking about his job, and him and another guy, and I was like, man, that sounds interesting. And I went and applied, and it just turned out I ended up working with him. My first clients I got was working in his home. He was the home supervisor. Charles is one of 8 boys born to his mom. She was a single mom, raised all 8 boys in Earl, Arkansas. I've been to where Charles is from several times because we worked together for years. And he has care and training kids right now that they play on my basketball team that I coach for him. I helped him coach his son's basketball team. I used to work in his home. When I'd come home from college in the summer, I would come work at Charles's house because he always had like 2 or 3 boys living with him. So I saw Charles every year and watched the boys grow up. So now all of them are either grown men in the agency now, or he's got like some that are 18 now. I think Charles's dedication to family and how he's like a father figure is like, knowing him had made me a better father, because he has a son, and my kids are younger than his, and I watched how he disciplined his kids, and he was always there. He was like not just a father figure, but like a friend to his kid, and always was understanding. Always put his kids first. That's what I liked about him. And then he always has the boys in his home. You know, he raises them like it's one of his kids. The way he is, you know, he was like the third of 8 boys. So he had a bunch of younger siblings, and we all used to watch how he used to be with his brothers and have that family atmosphere, and he brought that to work. He treated all his clients like that, and he treated them all, you know, make sure they all like got that family atmosphere. That's what I like about him. I remember my first month I worked here, we had a client, he was way bigger than me. That was back in '98, and I probably only weighed maybe 190. And he was about 6'3", 260, 270, and he liked to punch holes in walls, he liked to swing on staff, and being a new worker, I'd never been around there where people getting used to it. It's like he loved wrestling. So whenever you walk through the door, you might get hit in the stomach or grabbed or something like that. And one day he got mad, and I was just sitting there talking to Charles. He wasn't getting no attention. And he got mad at Charles. He's like, "You want to take care of me? You don't want to do nothing for me? Fine." And he went outside and he picked up a rock, a big rock like a boulder. And I thought he was gonna hit Charles's car, but he went and he threw it and missed his car and hit my car and busted my window out. And I looked at him, I was like, "Charles," and he's like, "What you gonna do?" And I was like, "Oh, I quit." I got my car and went home, and he called me later that day and begged me, "Hey man, come back. Me and that guy, after I came back, we didn't have no problem. I used to take him fishing all the time and stuff like that. I wanted to make sure he knew I was one of those guys that I was gonna help him out and gave him attention. But then that same guy, probably a year later, we were fishing, and we're at Lake Sequoia. And we were down at the lake, and he picked up a branch, and he was swinging it at all the people out there fishing. And I was coming from the left, and Charles was coming right. We're trying to help him. Well, I went to grab his left arm, and he was wet and slipped out. And he flipped Charles down the hill into the lake. And his boots and everything, he was just soaking wet, and everyone just started laughing, and the guy giggled. And he's like, "Man, I'm sorry." It was just funny because we were ways away from the home, and he was just soaking wet. Hat looked like Paddington the Bear wet. If you can imagine Paddington, that's what Charles looked like, this little outfit. So I'll never forget about that. You're one of the guys I can consider a really good friend, and there's not many people in this world that people trust, but I can always say I can trust Charles Means as like one. I can leave for 5 years and come back, and we start talking. It's almost like we never missed a beat. He's just one of those guys that makes you feel comfortable. And it's not, like I said, it's not a lot of people. It's just genuinely honest, good people. And I consider Charles Means a genuine, honest friend.